The noise of life grows heavier with each passing year. Yet the mind that masters itself becomes steadily quieter. Most people scramble for stability amid chaos, never understanding that peace is not something to stumble upon, but something to forge within. There comes a moment in life when you stop trying to control everything around you and start disciplining everything within. In that instant, the world begins to respond differently. What once seemed coincidence begins to reveal design. Calmness is not avoidance of action. It is mastery over reaction. The Stoics understood that true strength is not shown through aggression, but through mastery of emotion, the ability to think clearly while others surrender to impulse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Those who live by this principle cease being prisoners of time and instead become its architects. They stop waiting for the world to settle and instead become the still point around which it revolves. This is where true mastery starts. When you surrender to the flow of life rather than resist it, when composure replaces brute control, and when acceptance transforms into power, everything resisted has already begun to work against you. Everything embraced begins to work in your favor. The pieces fall into place, not by chance, not by luck, but by the natural order itself, waiting for you to become still enough to see it. As one grows older, they begin to realize that control is often a mirage. They understand that the most unshakable individuals are not those who force outcomes, but those who trust the natural unfolding of events through their actions. Patience becomes their power. Restraint becomes their guide. The Stoics grasped that real power lies not in molding every event, but in shaping the self that faces them. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." This is not a call to passivity, it is a call to alignment with reality. When the mind stops demanding that the world conform to its wishes, it begins to move with the world rather than against it. Modern society trains the individual to chase, to dominate, to interfere. Yet the more one interferes, the greater the chaos they create. The Stoic stance is not retreat, but balance. The art lies in knowing when to act and when acceptance itself is power. The one who masters this rhythm discovers a quiet harmony between inner order and outer circumstance. Seneca wrote that true happiness is found in enjoying the present without anxious reliance on the future. This is the root of patience. A restless mind fabricates turmoil. Better moments lie ahead, and yet the mind that suffers compares endlessly. A disciplined mind sees the value in what exists before it. When one learns to release tension, they stop battling the present and begin to extract its lesson. The universe does not respond to panic. It responds to posture. When stillness is held under pressure, the events around a person begin to realign themselves. This is not mysticism, it is the natural outcome of disciplined perception. A calm mind observes, adapts, and acts with precision, without waste, without distraction. Patience is not idleness, it is the active restraint of impulsive reaction. The one who can wait with composure has already surpassed the one who moves from impulse. Each pause becomes training. Each interval strengthens the distance between stimulus and response. In that gap lies every ounce of freedom a human will ever know. Epictetus reminded students, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Reaction is the pivot between chaos and clarity. The mature mind measures responses like a craftsman measures a cut. Deliberate, exact, irreversible. Through patience, the craftsman of character sharpens their internal tools. Restraint is not weakness. It is strength made visible under control. To act only when action serves reason is to stand apart from the restless masses. One does not retreat from life. They move with economy. Energy is preserved, decisions become precise, and the mind remains unclouded by emotion. The person who trusts life's process stops chasing validation. They understand that alignment comes not through control, but through correction. They correct themselves, their thoughts, expectations, habits. In time, The world mirrors that refinement. Outer order grows from inner discipline. When uncertainty rises, that is the moment to remain still. The untrained mind sees uncertainty as threat. The disciplined mind sees it as transition. Every structure of life rearranges when interference ceases. The Stoic does not rush time. They meet it as it flows. Marcus Aurelius observed, "Time is like a river made up of the events which happen, and its current is strong. The current cannot be held. One can resist it and drown, or move with it and learn its rhythm. Patience teaches rhythm. The one who moves with time acts at the right moment, not the earliest. A mind addicted to urgency mistakes motion for progress. The calm mind knows that stillness often precedes clarity. When one stops forcing outcomes, the path becomes visible. Every challenge has its own timeline. To relax is to honor that timing, and to stop seeing delay as punishment. Seneca warned that he who suffers before necessity suffers beyond measure. Much of suffering arises from anticipation. The mind rehearses disaster, imagines judgment, inflates noise. Yet when events arrive, they are often manageable. The Stoic trains to wait for reality before responding. Restraint is the mark of a seasoned soul. The untrained mind expends energy on speculation. The trained mind preserves it in observation. Alignment cannot appear when reaction clouds perception. Peace reveals the order that impatience obscures. The principle of amor fati, to love one's fate, begins with the discipline of waiting. When delay is met with composure, frustration transforms into understanding. The event does not change, but the relation to it does. This is where alignment begins. Life tests the strength of stillness. The more control is chased, the further it slips away. The moment clarity is embraced, the system reorganizes around steadiness. People respond differently. Circumstances ease. The world feels lighter, yet only perception has shifted. Patience is not merely temporal, it is emotional restraint. To relax is not to collapse, but to hold the mind ready without tension. The Stoic carries calm as a weapon. Their silence conveys command. Their steadiness influences more than argument. Epictetus taught that external things are not ours. Our judgments about them are. To master judgment is to master peace. When one stops attaching meaning to every twist of fortune, events lose their power to disturb. They still occur, but without binding us to their outcomes. This is how everything begins to fall into alignment. The order of life is not mechanical, it is moral. Harmony appears where virtue governs perception. The honest person draws stability because their choices are untainted by impulse. The patient person draws opportunity because their timing is precise. The disciplined person draws peace because their emotions remain unclouded. Seneca reminded Lucilius that a gem cannot be polished without friction. Waiting is that friction. Through resistance, character gleams. The one who avoids discomfort delays refinement. The one who endures hardship without resentment becomes radiant with quiet power. The external world operates with hidden intelligence. When one resists it, they fragment themselves. When one trusts it, they merge with it. Relaxation in the Stoic sense is not softness. It is alignment with the structure of reality. They move as reality moves. They stop imposing and begin to harmonize. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Let nature take its course. Your nature, the nature of the whole. Every event is part of the whole. When one acts in accordance with that whole, their path becomes smoother. Resistance fades because they no longer separate themselves from what is. They cooperate with the inevitable. The impatient live in conflict with time. The patient live within its flow. When timing is understood as intelligence, anxiety dissolves. Life is no longer measured against schedules that never belong to them. The Stoic replaces pressure with presence. The illusion of failure arises from premature judgment. Defeat is declared before the sequence concludes. The disciplined mind holds silence until results mature. Relaxation allows events the space to unfold. Every misstep can redirect toward the correct path if time is given to reveal its purpose. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." This is the law of growth. Every achievement, every transformation, every healing follows its own duration. The one who trusts that duration acts with consistency rather than desperation. Their calm makes them enduring. Patience uncovers patterns hidden to the frantic. The noise of urgency fades, clarity emerges. It becomes evident that the timing of events is rarely random. The people who leave, the opportunities that are delayed, the closures that demand redirection, all serve a design that reason alone could not have foreseen. Seneca taught that the wise do not rush the course of destiny. They understand that peace emerges from proportion, from aligning effort with what can genuinely be influenced. Relaxation is this proportion in motion. To remain still when necessary, to act decisively when called, that is wisdom made tangible. When one relaxes, attention is preserved. Attention becomes energy. Energy becomes direction. Direction, sustained, without interference, becomes destiny. Everything begins to align with the depth of internal focus. Life favors those who refuse panic. When hardship arrives, stillness becomes strategy. While others react blindly, they observe. While others scatter, they plan. The one who can think clearly under pressure leads without force. Calm becomes authority. Marcus Aurelius reflected, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is the simplicity of action. Simplicity cultivates peace. When deeds align with values, conflict fades. The world mirrors that simplicity in return. A composed mind streamlines life. It ceases to multiply interpretations. Every situation reduces to a single choice: respond with virtue or with vice. The disciplined choose virtue without compromise. Their lives flow in clarity. Within that flow, alignment emerges. Patience converts obstacles into rhythm. What once felt like delay transforms into cadence. One realizes they are not waiting for life. They are synchronizing with it. To relax is to stop racing ahead of the process and allow wisdom to set the pace. Seneca said the greatest cure for anger is delay. When reaction is postponed, reason returns. The same applies to every emotion. Delay restores balance. The moment one resists the first surge of impulse, they step outside chaos. The Stoic stance in modern life is rare. Many rush to prove, to react, to defend. Few hold silence long enough for truth to emerge. Restraint becomes rebellion. Calmness becomes a mark of power few comprehend. Epictetus instructed students to make the best use of what is within their control and accept the rest as it happens. Relaxation is contained in that teaching. Do what can be done with excellence. Release the remainder. The equilibrium between action and acceptance defines maturity. When this balance is achieved, events align with striking precision. One meets the right people, seizes the right opportunities, and encounters the perfect timing without pursuit. This is not luck. It is the order that follows internal discipline. The world bends toward the mind that moves without resistance. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning to anticipate disruption with gratitude and interference with calm. He understood that life's alignment is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of steadiness. Those who anticipate reality as challenging remain unshaken when it is. Peace does not imply everything is gentle. It means one becomes immovable amid turbulence. This inner immovability reshapes the outer storm. To relax is to maintain the line of composure until the world exhausts its efforts to unbalance you. Seneca warned against being enslaved to hope. Misused, hope becomes dependence on outcomes. The Stoic substitutes hope with readiness. They trust their ability to endure and adapt rather than the arrival of ideal conditions. That trust preserves composure. Life falls into place when one stops chasing placement. Each moment, life arranges itself according to the internal order of the mind. When one carries chaos, the world mirrors that chaos. When one carries stillness, the world reflects that stillness. Reality is participatory. It takes the shape of the state within. Patience reveals its reward in hindsight. What once seemed delayed often proves to be precisely timed. Every obstacle contained a hidden redirection. Every pause held unseen preparation. The one who can wait long enough to observe this pattern ceases to doubt the process. To relax is to recognize that peace underlies every outcome. If peace is sacrificed for haste, direction is lost. If preserved, direction finds you. Calmness is not passivity. It is the ultimate strategy for endurance and clarity. Seneca concluded, "He who has learned to die has unlearned to serve." The Stoic's death is symbolic, the death of anxiety over what cannot be changed. When that anxiety dies, peace is born. When peace is born, alignment follows. Everything begins to fall into place when one stops resisting the natural flow of cause and effect. Act where influence is real, accept where it is not. Hold steady where time is the teacher. This is the Stoic way, in command through surrender, in peace through precision. Epictetus concluded a lecture by reminding his students that no one is free who is not master of themselves. Mastery is not loud. It is quiet control of thought, emotion, and patience. The one who possesses these no longer fears delay. They see alignment as certainty, not chance. Relaxation, in the Stoic sense, is power in equilibrium. It is readiness without tension, waiting without weakness, trusting without naivety. Everything begins to align when the mind stops forcing it. The disciplined, calm mind becomes the invisible architect of order. Calmness reshapes perception. It softens distortion, clears reactive noise, and sharpens awareness. When inner turbulence quiets, the senses regain precision. Judgments become proportionate. Thoughts align with observation rather than imagination. The world that once seemed hostile becomes understandable. A calm mind perceives details others miss. While agitation narrows focus, calm expands it. Freed from urgency, perception registers nuance. This clarity informs decisions. One no longer acts from fear of loss or desire for approval. Actions begin to reflect understanding rather than reaction. Calmness gives birth to clarity, and clarity rearranges choices. A person grounded in stillness stops responding to illusions. They discern intentions in others clearly. They read situations without bias. They detect truth beneath appearances. What once triggered frustration becomes information. What once provoked anxiety becomes strategy. Seneca once wrote, "There is no great genius without some touch of madness. Yet he knew that madness must be mastered through discipline." Calmness is that mastery. It preserves reason while emotions surge and subside. The calm individual does not suppress feeling, they order it. Opportunities unfold where composure is present. In negotiation, relationships, and ambition, calm is interpreted as confidence. Those who maintain clarity attract trust. Chaos repels precision, stillness draws it. Calm minds make fewer errors, and fewer errors compound into better timing. Perception governs opportunity. The panicked mind sees only obstacles. The composed mind sees openings. When calm becomes habitual, opportunity ceases to feel like luck and appears as alignment. What others call fortune, the Stoic calls preparation meeting clarity. Marcus Aurelius advised, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Calmness revises that estimate. It removes exaggeration, dissolves false scale, and positions each event in proportion to reality. Perception becomes a app, not a storm. The world bends toward those who see clearly. Clarity makes action efficient. There is no waste in calm execution when distraction is gone. Attention becomes a weapon. Every gesture carries intent. Every pause communicates stability. Calmness restores discernment between urgency and importance. The unsettled mind confuses them, reacting to everything as critical. The tranquil mind prioritizes without effort. Some things demand response, others deserve silence. Knowing the difference refines every decision. Perception without calm is distortion. The agitated read hostility where none exists, imagine threats in neutral moments, and build false narratives from fear. The calm read accurately because internal noise is silenced. They no longer imagine enemies in shadows. Epictetus reminded students that no one is disturbed by things but by the view they take of them. Calmness changes the view. It is the lens-cleaning act of reason. With clarity, even misfortune becomes instruction. The mind no longer labels events as unfair but as material for virtue. Opportunity follows those who act without haste. The calm can wait for timing to mature. They know action too early is waste, too late is regret. In calmness, timing becomes instinct. They sense when to step forward and when to hold. This rhythm builds advantage. Calm perception dissolves fear of uncertainty. The anxious demand guarantees before acting. The calm act from principle and adjust as events evolve. Certainty is unnecessary when adaptability is mastered. The Stoic does not seek security. They create it through composure. Seneca noted that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Calmness ends that suffering by removing speculation. The quiet mind sees what is, not what might be. That realism produces efficiency. Actions taken from fact succeed more often than those driven by fear. Calmness refines communication. In dialogue, emotion distorts language. Calmness restores control over words and tone. The composed speaker commands attention without volume. Others sense steadiness and respond instinctively. Calmness becomes silent persuasion. Perception under calm sees opportunity in limitation. Barriers become blueprints. Setbacks reveal structure. Without emotion, creativity surfaces. Calm individuals solve problems faster because energy is not wasted denying challenges. Calmness uncovers hidden value in moments others discard. Delays become preparation. Solitude becomes renewal. Failure becomes data. The person composed under pressure extracts use from every situation. Nothing is wasted when the mind remains still. Marcus Aurelius said to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. Calmness embodies this. It allows presence without panic. The one who lives calmly lives fully, aware, deliberate, unhurried by illusion. Perception cleansed of agitation shifts from defensive to strategic. Calm individuals stop trying to control others. They focus on self-control, which paradoxically grants influence. Authority radiates without command. People trust the unmoved. Calmness shapes timing not by force but by patience. The composed do not rush decisions under pressure. They allow the moment to ripen. In that ripening, opportunities reveal themselves where the anxious act too soon. The calm arrive precisely when needed. Seneca taught that luck is preparation meeting opportunity. Calmness is the bridge between them. It preserves preparation and ensures opportunity is recognized. Without calm, both are wasted, one scattered, the other unseen. A calm mind carries gravity. It anchors environments. In its presence, conflict diffuses, emotion subsides. People recalibrate instinctively. Calmness spreads through resonance. Instruction. The Stoic influences by example, not force. When calm deepens, perception becomes impartial. Praise and blame lose grip. The mind sees both as passing air. Freedom grows from that neutrality. Decisions orbit principle, not ego. Each action serves order itself. Calmness dismantles urgency-driven mistakes. The frantic choose speed over accuracy and collapse under tension. The composed move slower but cleaner. Over time, results accumulate precision. The world trusts consistency over intensity. Calmness conserves attention. That conservation generates surplus energy. Energy becomes foresight. One anticipates without anxiety, plans without rigidity. Calmness cultivates rare awareness, the ability to respond without reacting. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Calmness embodies humility. It resists the need to prove, defend, or display. In that humility lies efficiency. Fewer words, more substance. Opportunity often hides behind silence. Calmness redefines success. It stops measuring by comparison and begins measuring by coherence. When perception aligns with virtue, results follow effortlessly. The individual no longer competes for attention. They command it by consistency of presence. In calm observation, intuition awakens. The quiet mind senses connections unseen by haste. Patterns in behavior, cycles in circumstance, timing in nature, all become legible. This intuitive clarity transforms uncertainty into navigation. Calmness reshapes the perception of time itself. Hours feel longer, moments expand. When urgency fades, depth emerges. Tasks performed with calm absorb meaning. The Stoic lives not faster, but fuller. Presence stretches existence. Calmness fortifies resilience. When perception is steady, setbacks no longer disorient. They are absorbed, analyzed, and redirected. Nothing external can disturb. R&B, the internal axis. Each event is neutral until interpreted, and calmness determines that interpretation. The composed individual becomes a magnet for stability. Others gravitate toward them for balance. Opportunity arises because calm people create no chaos in systems, and systems reward reliability. Stillness becomes reputation. Seneca said, "A good character, once established, is not easily overthrown." Calmness cultivates that character. It is armor and invitation, protection against disorder, magnet for trust. The calm individual becomes the axis around which events organize perception. Purified by calmness, the mind ceases to see random chaos and begins to perceive design. Every disruption fits into a larger order. The Stoic interprets each occurrence as material for discipline and opportunity, which is ever present, waiting for the mind quiet enough to perceive it. The calm mind discerns the rhythm of timing, the logic of cause, and the silence between outcomes. It no longer hunts opportunity, it recognizes it. Life ceases to be a contest and becomes orchestration. What others call coincidence, the Stoic experiences as confirmation. Marcus Aurelius reflected, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Calmness reveals that truth. When perception is clear, obstacles become maps. What others avoid, the composed navigate. Calmness is not the absence of motion, it is motion without noise. It is authority expressed through still energy. It transforms perception into a tool and opportunity into consequence. The calm individual no longer chases order, they radiate it. In the end, calmness is structure itself. It transforms thought into geometry, emotion into harmony, and opportunity into sequence. The Stoic who maintains stillness moves in rhythm with life's intelligence. In that rhythm, everything aligns, reality follows. Reason remains calm. Calmness in action is not withdrawal, it is precision. The Stoics understood that composure does not slow momentum, it directs it. When one acts from stillness, every movement carries intent and eliminates waste. Every gesture becomes strategic, unclouded by emotion or panic. A calm mind converts chaos into calculation. The unsettled react to pressure, the composed design through it. Their perception allows them to anticipate, to choose the right moment rather than forcing outcomes. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Do every act of your life as though it were the last." Calmness brings that quality to each decision, deliberate, complete, unaffected by noise. In crisis, calmness becomes advantage. Most act from urgency, confusing speed with effectiveness. The Stoic acts with quiet control, understanding that clarity under pressure multiplies efficiency. Their pause is not hesitation, it is assessment. In that pause, they gain what others lose, the power of awareness. When calmness enters action, precision replaces repetition. Mistakes are no longer repeated because attention is exact. The present moment becomes a command post. The calm individual operates like a strategist, observing, measuring, then executing with minimal movement and maximum effect. Seneca reminded that to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Calmness sharpens focus on what truly matters. Distraction dissolves. The composed person is not seduced by quantity of effort, but guided by the quality of execution. They achieve through accuracy, not exhaustion. Calmness in leadership radiates stability. Those who lead from stillness create environments where others perform at their best. Panic spreads quickly, and so does composure. Teams mirror the emotional state of their leader. The calm strategist stabilizes the entire structure simply by being its axis. In decision-making, calmness acts as filtration. It removes the noise of bias and impulse. What remains are facts, patterns, and probabilities. This clarity transforms complexity into sequence. What once seemed overwhelming reduces into steps. The Stoic sees order even within chaos. A person ruled by emotion is vulnerable to manipulation. One ruled by calm is difficult to move. When fear, provocation, or temptation arise, composure becomes a shield. Calmness provides the advantage of delay, the chance to think before responding. Every decision gains strength from that pause. Calmness enhances negotiation. Silence becomes a tool. Patience becomes strategy. While others fill space with argument, the composed observe tone, phrasing, and reaction. In stillness, the truth of others reveals itself. Words lose power when met with calm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Calmness in action embodies that teaching. It applies discipline inward and patience outward. The calm actor demands precision from themselves but grants grace to the world. This duality preserves balance, even amidst conflict. In calm execution, time stretches. The individual feels no rush. Every motion unfolds at a natural pace, measured and unforced. They conserve energy, enabling endurance, while others burn quickly through force. The calm maintain momentum through rhythm. Calmness transforms routine into ritual. Repetition becomes refinement rather than monotony. Each act performed with attention becomes training in presence. This is how the Stoic transforms ordinary duties into exercises of mastery. Control of small actions builds mastery over larger ones. Composure allows adaptation. When plans collapse, the calm mind pivots. Agitation locks the mind into a single outcome. Calmness opens alternatives. The Stoic adjusts without losing purpose. They move like water around rock, flexible but directed. Seneca wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance." Wisdom arises from measured perception, and calmness is the condition that enables it. Strategic calm does not wait idly. It gathers data. Each observation becomes a resource. Each failure becomes instruction. The calm plan without anxiety. They map contingencies, not fantasies. With emotion, clear of vision, potential and risk are seen with clarity. Strategy becomes simple: identify, act, correct, continue. The cycle is clean because panic never enters it. In the marketplace, in warfare, in personal conduct, the calm individual wins through conservation. They use minimal motion for maximal effect. Efficiency arises naturally from composure. There is no rush to prove, no need to impress. Execution becomes art. Calmness removes ego from decision-making. Ego seeks attention. Calmness seeks accuracy. The Stoic understands that a correct movement alone is enough. Approval or recognition adds nothing. Within that, detachment lies the freedom to act solely according to principle. Composure strengthens credibility. Others trust those who remain steady under pressure. Calmness becomes silent proof of competence. It communicates more than persuasion ever could. In negotiation, in conflict, in leadership, stillness signals control, and control inspires confidence. Calmness trains foresight. The tranquil observer sees subtle shifts before the storm arrives. Their lack of noise allows detection of patterns hidden to the frantic. Strategy is not prediction. It is perception sustained long enough to detect rhythm. Calmness preserves that perception. Every Stoic action follows the same architecture: perceive, decide, act, release. Calmness maintains that structure. Without it, perception collapses into reaction, and action degenerates into impulsiveness. Stillness protects sequence. It keeps intellect ahead of emotion. Epictetus reminded that one must distinguish what is within control from what is not. Calmness enforces that distinction in motion. Before acting, the mind checks the boundary. Can this be influenced? If yes, act with discipline. If not, proceed in peace. This filter prevents wasted effort. In strategy, calmness outlasts aggression. Anger expends energy quickly. Patience stores it. The Stoic wins not through force, but through endurance. Time favors the one who waits without losing clarity. Sustained composure becomes superiority. Calm action appears effortless because it is efficient. Each decision flows from understanding rather than resistance. This absence of friction creates the appearance of mastery, yet it is the natural product of composure honed into habit. Calmness aligns intellect with instinct. The mind analyzes while intuition senses. When both operate undisturbed by panic, decisions emerge from total awareness. The result is accuracy without hesitation, a harmony of logic and flow. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Calmness strips away that imagined suffering, even while acting. The Stoic responds to events as they are, not as they are feared to be. This preserves energy. Fear generates resistance. Calmness keeps energy clean. Calmness sharpens patience in execution. Great strategies fail through premature action. The calm resist the impulse to reveal, to rush, to conclude. They understand that endurance is often the final stage of wisdom. Patience forms the unseen half of success. Calm execution teaches restraint in victory. When outcomes favor them, the Stoic remains level. They neither celebrate excessively nor gloat. Calmness preserves the mind's clarity for the next cycle. Each success tests balance. In failure, calmness shortens recovery. The composed analyze rather than lament. They adapt faster because emotion does not stall logic. Each fall becomes study, not injury. This converts resilience from reaction into system. Calmness transforms repetition into refinement. It trains mastery through patient practice. Every decision evaluated without emotional distortion becomes data. The Stoic does not chase novelty. They perfect repetition. Excellence is cultivated through peace, not pressure. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The impediment to action advances action." Calmness embodies this by transforming obstacles into instruction where others see only failure. The composed extract method. Strategy evolves from calm interpretation of resistance. When calmness directs action, life ceases to, nothing feels random. Each movement connects logically to the next. Plans align with principles, effort aligns with reason. Progress feels natural because resistance no longer consumes attention. The world begins to mirror inner order. Strategic calm is discipline, not mood. It must be cultivated through silence, reflection, and deliberate slowness. To pause without fear, decide without distraction, act without haste, this is mastery in motion. The Stoic carries it as both armor and compass. Calmness in decision-making removes doubt by replacing it with focus. The question is no longer, will this work, but is this right? Principle becomes the sole measure of action. This moral simplicity strengthens strategy because it cannot be shaken by outcome. When calmness governs movement, even failure becomes precise. Each setback teaches timing, scale, and proportion. The Stoic evolves not by chance, but by correction. Through calmness, continuity of motion is maintained even when direction shifts. Calmness gives weight to every act, turning ordinary choices into statements of principle. The composed do not scatter effort across distractions, they channel it. The result is depth, not noise. This depth becomes the hidden force sustaining progress. Ultimately, calmness in action is self-command in its purest form. It is power refined into clarity. The Stoic does not rush toward dominance but grows into alignment. Every calm act declares mastery without a word. This is how composure becomes the highest form of strategy. Composure under conflict is the true test of Stoic discipline. Calmness in stillness requires little strength. Calmness in chaos reveals mastery. The Stoic does not train for peace alone but for resistance. On days when noise invades the mind and the world becomes unstable, their stillness under such weight demonstrates control far greater than force. Conflict exposes the structure of the self. The undisciplined react from ego, rushing to defend pride or punish insult. The composed respond from principle. They measure the nature of the attack before deciding whether it merits energy at all. To master composure is to choose battles not from emotion, but necessity. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more harmful to us than the injury that provokes it." The Stoic remembers this in moments of provocation. They recognize the true loss is not the offense, but the surrender of peace. The mind that stays balanced retains power, while the one consumed by rage squanders. Calmness in conflict is not weakness. It is the highest expression of control, to remain composed when insulted, to think clearly when accused, to stay measured when others unravel. This is a strength no weapon can produce. Calmness disarms aggression because it cannot be provoked. In resistance, patience is sharper than anger. The Stoic endures opposition without losing focus. Their silence unsettles those seeking reaction. They move as if guided by a deeper rhythm. Their restraint carries authority. They do not need to shout, they simply remain. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." Composure fulfills this idea. When others lose control, the calm remain uncorrupted. They do not descend into the same disorder. Conflict becomes both mirror and teacher, revealing who still governs their own reason. The calm individual treats resistance as material for refinement. Every confrontation tests discipline. Every insult tests humility. Every challenge tests clarity. Each encounter with adversity becomes practice in remaining undisturbed. The Stoic welcomes this training as the forge of strength. Calmness transforms defense into observation. Instead of striking back, the Stoic studies the opponent, the situation, and the consequences. Their clarity becomes advantage. They spend no energy on pride. They protect their focus as others squander theirs. Composure wins battles that fury cannot. When resistance rises, the calm person slows down, their breathing steadies, their vision narrows to essentials. They do not mistake noise for urgency. They understand emotion is temporary, but consequence is lasting. Calmness is their method of accuracy. The Stoics' restraint under pressure alters the rhythm of conflict. Anger expects anger in return. When none arrives, tension collapses. Power shifts. Those who maintain peace in battle control the field because they control themselves. The Stoic wins not through domination, but through stability. Inwardly, conflict becomes a dialogue with ego. The impulse to prove, defend, or retaliate is examined and dismissed. Pride fades into awareness. The calm mind observes emotion rise and fall without attachment. What remains is clean judgment, free from distortion. Seneca observed, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The Stoic sees conflict as a chance to test the depth of composure. Every challenge reveals the extent of their training. The goal is not comfort, but command. Composure under resistance requires remembering that opinion is wind. Praise and blame pass alike. The Stoic does not build identity on either. When criticized, they listen for truth without collapsing into defense. When praised, they continue working without intoxication. Balance remains. Calmness also governs language. In conflict, words become weapons. The Stoic measures them as one would measure arrows. Silence often accomplishes more than argument. A quiet pause can carry greater force than 1,000 words. Stillness communicates power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This principle manifests most clearly in adversity. The calm individual maintains ownership of thought, refusing to rent it out to anger. Even amidst chaos, they remain sovereign within. Resistance from others cannot harm the Stoic who no longer seeks approval. They understand that rejection and opposition are part of the natural flow. Composure protects progress. By remaining undisturbed, they continue advancing while others are frozen by frustration. Calmness in adversity becomes momentum. Each challenge absorbed without reaction converts into energy. Conflict transforms into clarity. The Stoic uses opposition as propulsion, not obstruction. They do not resent difficulty, they redirect it. To remain composed when attacked is to hold command of reality itself. Most lose proportion under pressure. They exaggerate, accuse, panic. The calm reduce everything to fact. They remove story from situation. In doing so, they regain leverage. Seneca taught that the wise yield to fate but stand firm against misfortune. The Stoic endures conflict not as victim, but as participant in necessary resistance. They see the test as part of growth. Fate provides friction to reveal structure. Without it, strength would remain theoretical. The calm individual interprets hostility as reflection, not revelation. They understand that others' behavior often mirrors their own suffering, not truth. This recognition breeds empathy without weakness. The Stoic forgives, not for virtue's display, but to remain unbound. Composure under conflict demands clarity of purpose. When the goal is virtue, emotion cannot interfere. The Stoic measures each response with one question: does this preserve integrity? If yes, they act. If not, they remain silent. Simplicity replaces confusion. In argument, calmness rewrites hierarchy. The louder voice may appear dominant, but control rests with the one who listens. The Stoic wields stillness as leverage. They allow others to exhaust themselves against silence, then speak once with precision. Their words, few and deliberate, carry weight. In physical conflict, calmness slows perception. The Stoic sees movement before it completes. Reaction time shrinks because panic does not blur sight. Their mind functions as anchor, body following discipline rather than adrenaline. This is control translated into motion. The composed warrior never seeks to destroy, only to neutralize. They understand that preservation of order outweighs victory of ego. In all forms of struggle, their focus is equilibrium. They do not escalate, they resolve. Power to harm is tempered by purpose to restore. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Conflict is expected, not feared. The Stoic meets resistance with readiness, trained to adapt, anchored in principle. Their calmness is movement honed by endurance. Composure under opposition reveals the hierarchy within the self. The senses demand, emotion protests, pride insists, yet reason remains unmoved at the center. The Stoic acts from that center, not from distraction. Within that structure, power becomes silent, certainty. Calmness dissolves intimidation. The one who cannot be provoked becomes unpredictable. Adversaries cannot control what does not react. The Stoics' neutrality frustrates manipulation. Their stillness becomes armor no aggression can penetrate. Seneca observed, the mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. In conflict, the anxious anticipate pain before it arrives and suffer twice. The calm person suffers once, if at all. They face reality, not imagination. This economy of suffering grants endurance. Resistance is necessary for refinement. Without it, discipline erodes. The Stoic views opposition as a mirror, polishing strength. Each encounter demands better balance, quicker recovery, deeper patience. The calm individual evolves through pressure, not in spite of it. In political, personal, or social struggle, calmness preserves judgment. The Stoic separates principle from passion. They choose justice over reaction, truth over comfort. This neutrality is not coldness, but precision. It ensures that righteousness is untainted by rage. Composure transforms conflict into rhythm. Pressure becomes tempo. Resistance becomes pulse. The Stoic moves within this cadence, responding with proportion. Their calmness turns battle into choreography. They do not resist rhythm, they direct it. When opposition persists, the composed mind turns to endurance. They know most conflicts collapse from exhaustion, not from force. By lasting longer without agitation, they prevail naturally. Patience becomes both weapon and shield. Calmness governs withdrawal as well. The Stoic knows when to retreat without shame. They view withdrawal as repositioning, not defeat. Pride prefers collapse to yielding. Wisdom conserves energy for the next engagement. Composure sees value beyond the moment. Marcus Aurelius reflected that the soul is dyed by the color of its thoughts. During conflict, the calm preserve the purity of thought. They do not allow hatred to stain the mind. Their resistance remains clean, their purpose intact. Even amid hostility, they remain untouched within. Calmness under conflict becomes legacy. Others remember not the shouting, but the steadiness. The Stoics' silence teaches longer than speeches. Their posture under adversity becomes lesson. They embody the truth that power does not always roar. Often, it breathes. Ultimately, composure is the final form of strength. It converts conflict into affirmation of discipline, resistance into opportunity for refinement. The Stoic does not fear the storm. They stand within it, eyes open, mind clear. In that stillness, they remain unconquered. To love one's fate is to stand in full agreement with existence. It is not submission, but participation. The Stoic does not resign to events. They align with them. Through understanding, they recognize that every event serves the architecture of order. Fate is neither enemy nor accident, but design. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything thrown into it. Whatever enters the life of the disciplined mind becomes fuel. Suffering becomes instruction. Loss becomes purification. Uncertainty becomes faith in motion. Nothing is wasted when seen through the lens of acceptance." The Stoics' trust is not blind belief. It is comprehension of structure. They observe the world and see that change governs all things. What resists flow decays. What moves with it evolves. To align with fate is to act in harmony with this law. Acceptance is not resignation. It is the highest form of intelligence. The mind no longer asks, "Why this?" but instead, "What is this for?" The question shifts from complaint to comprehension. The Stoic learns that every occurrence contributes to the symmetry of a greater whole. To love fate is to recognize perfection hidden within imperfection. Trust in divine order begins with observation. Day follows night. Seed becomes tree. Grief becomes wisdom. The rhythm of existence never breaks. The same intelligence that guides the stars governs human events. To doubt fate is to doubt proportion. The Stoic looks and sees reason everywhere. Seneca wrote, "The fates guide the willing but drag the unwilling. Resistance creates suffering. The unwilling fight the inevitable, exhausting their spirit against certainty. The willing move as part of it. Amor fati is this willingness, the calm cooperation with what must be. The Stoic ceases to struggle and begins to flow. Acceptance matures into reverence. When the mind stops fighting life, gratitude emerges. The smallest moments become sacred, the air, the silence, the passage of time. The Stoic sees divine order not in temples or rituals, but in the structure of existence itself. Fate becomes proof of balance. To trust fate is to trust reason. The Stoic understands that providence and logic are one. Every loss holds correction. Every delay holds protection. The mind that accepts this ceases to panic. They do not beg for different outcomes. They seek to say, "Why this outcome fits the design." Calmness becomes faith in order. It is the quiet recognition that what arrives is necessary and what departs is complete. Nothing truly goes wrong. It only goes differently than expected. The Stoic aligns perception to this law, and peace becomes continuous. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Whatever happens to you was prepared for you from all eternity." The Stoic does not interpret this as destiny fixed in stone, but as destiny shaped by coherence. They act with virtue, knowing fate weaves their choices into a greater tapestry. Free will and fate meet through reason. To love fate is to end conflict with time. The impatient demand that events obey their schedule. The wise move in harmony with nature. The calm recognize that timing is intelligence, not coincidence. Faith in this timing dissolves fear and restores balance. What seems like loss often reveals liberation from what no longer serves. The Stoic observes that every removal opens space for correction. Fate prunes excess so that growth may proceed. Acceptance transforms grief into gratitude. Seneca said, "He who does not prevent what he cannot prevent is wise." The Stoic practices this in every circumstance. They conserve energy for what can be influenced and release what cannot. This allocation of effort preserves the spirit's efficiency. Trust in order becomes a quiet source of strength. Divine order is impartial. It neither punishes nor rewards. It balances. The Stoic honors this neutrality. They understand that fortune and hardship are both instruments of proportion. To prefer one and despise the other is ignorance. To accept both with equal calm is wisdom. When one believes that all events serve purpose, uncertainty ceases to threaten. Life becomes exploration rather than trial. The Stoic moves forward without anxiety, trusting that each step leads exactly where it should. This trust sharpens perception. Events once labeled misfortune reveal themselves as transitions. Fate moves through correction, not cruelty. The Stoic reads intention where others perceive chaos. What appears broken becomes instruction in disguise. Marcus Aurelius reflected, "Everything harmonizes with me, which is harmonious to you, O universe." The Stoic echoes this silently. They do not demand that life conform to them. They change themselves to meet life. Harmony is not forced by altering the world, but by aligning perception with truth. The one who accepts all outcomes becomes unshakable. They cannot be disappointed, because nothing violates their expectation. They anticipate fate's intelligence, and when it acts, they acknowledge with understanding. Peace becomes constant. To trust in divine order is to know that no effort is. Every disciplined choice, every patient act, contributes to an unseen architecture. The Stoic works without attachment to outcomes. They trust that correct action plants seeds beyond perception and that the harvest arrives when time and maturity allow. The past cannot wound when it is understood as part of design. The Stoic learns from memory without contaminating the present. Regret becomes unnecessary when each event is recognized as essential to growth. Acceptance purifies the mind from repeated turmoil. Fate tests through challenge. The Stoic interprets difficulty not as cruelty but as calibration. Adversity restores balance to character. Every trial removes illusion. It is the discipline of perceiving advantage in what initially seems intolerable. Seneca wrote, "Fire tests gold. Adversity tests the courageous." The Stoic welcomes the flame because they trust its revelation. They know that what endures heat emerges incorruptible. Fate is not executioner but teacher. Every hardship sharpens purpose. Trust in fate strengthens courage. When nothing is seen as hostile, the Stoic becomes fearless. They act with serenity, understanding that success and failure are equal instruments in the system of refinement. Confidence replaces anxiety because faith replaces resistance. It removes the illusion of control while empowering responsibility. The Stoic does not perceive themselves as victim or master, but as participant in rational order. This awareness fosters equilibrium with the world. They no longer command life, they harmonize with it. To trust divine order is to stop judging events by emotion. The Stoic judges by alignment. Was the act virtuous? Was it consistent with reason? If yes, fate has already been fulfilled. Outcome becomes secondary. Integrity replaces expectation. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to receive without pride and release without attachment, to receive without arrogance and relinquish without despair, is to move flawlessly with existence. The Stoic dances with fate rather than resisting it. Amor fati transforms trust into love. Acceptance grows into gratitude and gratitude into devotion. The Stoic does not merely endure fate, they embrace it. Every event becomes communion with the divine logic of life. To love fate is to recognize oneself as part of its reason. Divine order is most evident in hindsight. What once seemed cruel often appears necessary. The Stoic learns to trust this process before proof. Faith precedes understanding. Amor fati embodies confidence in understanding before understanding manifests. Seneca wrote that a strong character once formed is not easily dismantled. The one who embraces their fate becomes unshakable. No upheaval can disturb their peace. They view tragedy as transformation, delay as discipline, uncertainty as guidance. Every force that fractures others strengthens them. Amor fati removes opposition from the heart. The Stoic ceases demanding and begins receiving. Their needs become offerings to order itself. Effort flows naturally because motive is pure. They move with life, not against it. This cooperation fosters serenity. Trust in fate produces presence. The future no longer haunts. The past no longer restrains. Every moment is precise, neither premature nor delayed. The Stoic lives in accord with time itself, the purest expression of peace. Marcus Aurelius stated, "Live in agreement with nature." Amor fati embodies this agreement in motion. To harmonize with nature is to trust its wisdom, to reflect its patience, to embody its balance. The Stoic who does so becomes an extension of order, not an exception. Fate, to the Stoic, is not a chain but a current. One may resist and drown or trust and navigate. The current leads toward the sea of reason, where all lives merge in the same flow. Amor fati is learning to move with this current steady and alert. To love fate is to love reality. To trust reality is freedom from fear. When the mind accepts that every event belongs, serenity becomes instinct. The Stoic who grasps this no longer prays for comfort but for endurance, not for ease but for strength. Amor fati is not mere survival. It is joy under inevitability. The one who masters it smiles at both ascent and descent. They perceive the perfection of sequence, the balance of contrast, the wisdom embedded in loss. To live thus is to live in harmony with the cosmos. The Stoic, who trusts divine order exists without contradiction, their will and the universe's will become one. Every choice aligns, every obstacle instructs, every moment is precise. They are not spectators of fate, but conscious collaborators. In this union they find peace beyond circumstance. To cease conflict with life is to enter unity with it. This is the essence of amor fati, transformation of resistance into reverence. The Stoic stands at the center of existence, steady, grateful, aware. Whatever comes, they receive. Whatever departs, they release. They trust that all exactly as it is belongs. Inner mastery is the final expression of Stoic excellence. It is where calmness, composure, and trust converge into permanence. The Stoic does not rise above life, they flow within it. Their peace depends not on external stillness, but on the immutable order within. They traverse existence as equilibrium incarnate. The calm mind that began as restraint becomes the foundation of clarity. Composure that once resisted chaos evolves into presence that guides it. Trust in divine order, born from understanding, becomes quiet faith in the coherence of all things. Together, these qualities form sovereignty, complete command over perception, reaction, and purpose. Marcus Aurelius reflected, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Dominion is the living of this truth without effort. The disciplined no longer remind themselves, they embody it. The mind ceases to be battlefield and becomes kingdom. Every thought serves principle. Every action follows virtue. Calmness grants mastery over emotion. Fear loses voice. Anger loses reach. The Stoic experiences both but is ruled by neither. Each feeling becomes information, not identity. Through calmness, emotion is reclaimed as function, purified of excess. Composure grants mastery over conflict. The disciplined do not aim to win arguments, they aim to preserve order. Resistance no longer incites retaliation but invokes precision. Every challenge becomes terrain, not threat. The calm mind interprets adversity as landscape, not danger. Trust grants mastery over fate. The Stoics' faith in divine structure eliminates resentment. They cease to curse time or fortune. What comes is welcomed. What leaves is released. Destiny becomes a partner in the pursuit of virtue. The one who trusts life ceases to suffer from its unfolding. When calmness, composure, and trust converge, they create a structure impervious to circumstance. The individual remains steady through every variation of fortune. Prosperity does not intoxicate. Hardship cannot weaken. Their peace is geometric, measured by reason, immune to distortion. Seneca said, "The wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." Inner dominion fulfills this wisdom. The Stoic no longer gauges life by possession but by proportion. They know that controlling desire surpasses acquiring wealth. Satisfaction is the highest abundance. The one with inner mastery no longer reacts blindly. They move. From intention, not impulse. Each choice arises from reflection, guided by principle, not provocation. Their steadiness becomes invisible authority. Calmness is felt by others without knowing its origin. Mastery is not detachment, it is engagement without disturbance. The Stoic participates fully in the world, yet remains unbroken by it. They perform duty without dependence, achievement without arrogance, love without fear. Inward stillness sustains outward excellence. Calmness refines perception until life appears as system, not sequence. The Stoic sees relations between all things. What others call chance, they call structure. Understanding this structure ends anxiety. What once seemed chaotic becomes continuity, too vast to measure in the immediate moment. Composure shapes the rhythm of action. It converts haste into harmony. The Stoic executes with clarity and rests without guilt. Motion and stillness alternate naturally, strengthening each other. Through composure, the individual synchronizes with necessity. Trust elevates endurance into serenity. Patience no longer feels like waiting, it feels like belonging. The Stoic stops forcing meaning and begins witnessing it. They no longer chase purpose. Purpose reveals itself through participation. Inner mastery is sustained awareness. The mind remains alert yet unstrained. It observes thought as current and allows it to flow unhindered. Vigilance without agitation preserves pure perception. The disciplined live awake within their own stillness. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look within. Within lies the source of good, and it will flow endlessly if you dig deeply." Inner dominion is that source made eternal. The Stoic no longer seeks external approval. Every resource they require emanates from the depths of their own reason. In mastery of self, every emotion finds proper measure. Joy becomes gratitude. Sorrow becomes humility. Thank you anger becomes energy directed toward justice. No feeling is denied, but all are disciplined. The Stoic becomes architect of experience, not passenger of sensation. Composure, under both triumph and loss, defines maturity. When success arrives, the Stoic remains steady. When failure strikes, they remain intact. Neither distorts identity. The axis holds firm. They are unmoved by praise, untouched by censure. The self remains balanced. Dominion grants immunity to manipulation. One who fears no loss and seeks no approval cannot be controlled. Their independence is not defiance, but integrity. They cooperate without surrender. Freedom and responsibility coexist perfectly. Calmness transforms relationships. The Stoic becomes mirror, not storm. They reflect truth instead of projecting reaction. Others feel secure in their presence because that presence is anchored. The world is drawn toward stability as water flows toward its source. Composure guides speech. Words become instruments, not weapons. Silence is wielded strategically. Each utterance is measured for truth, necessity, and tone. Mastery of language grants influence. The Stoics' few words carry the weight of entire philosophies. Trust sustains resilience. Setbacks lose power to define them. The disciplined see every collapse as reformation. Like nature, they rebuild quietly and correctly. Patience replaces despair. Discipline replaces complaint. What breaks others strengthens them. The Stoic with dominion has surpassed the need to prove. Their peace is its own argument. They live by demonstration, not persuasion. Example replaces instruction. They embody the order they once sought to describe. Dominion also dissolves, restless ambition, goals remain but no longer enslave. Achievement becomes an expression of virtue, not compensation for lack. The Stoic asks no longer what can I gain, but what can I embody? This shift transforms striving into service. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free. Inner mastery is bravery perfected. The individual confronts existence without disguise or denial. They meet reality on its own terms, unmoved by fear or fantasy. Freedom becomes condition, not pursuit. Calmness removes the illusion of opposition between self and world. The Stoic perceives no separation between mind and the total order of things. Thoughts flow with the law of nature. This unity ends alienation. They belong to all and require nothing. Composure shapes destiny by stabilizing response. Each deliberate act creates coherence over time. The Stoic's life becomes symphonic, each note placed with awareness. Where others perceive randomness, they perceive continuity. Trust becomes reverence. The Stoic moves through the world knowing that every event, pleasant or painful, expresses the same intelligence. They bow not in submission, but in recognition. Gratitude becomes instinct, reverence becomes strength. Mastery of self leads naturally to service beyond self. The calm mind no longer seeks personal gain. Its purpose expands toward contribution. The Stoic acts for the collective order of reason, understanding that all good strengthens the whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee." Mastery includes empathy as extension of reason. The Stoic acts with justice because disorder disturbs harmony. Their compassion is disciplined, not sentimental, rooted in understanding, not impulse. Composure allows endurance of solitude. The Stoic no longer fears isolation because they inhabit themselves fully. Silence becomes companion, not punishment. In solitude they perceive the rhythm of universal thought. Presence becomes complete even without company. Mastery in daily life appears as simplicity. Extravagance fades. The Stoic carries few needs and fewer fears. Joy is measured, routines deliberate. In that moderation lies the luxury of clarity. They live as exemplar of sufficiency. Trust removes anxiety about death. The Stoic knows nature reclaims what it lends. Life is process, not possession. When death comes, it meets no resistance. The individual departs with the same calm they lived, completing the circle without regret. Seneca observed, "Life is long if you know how to use it. Mastery fulfills that use. Each moment is invested with awareness, not wasted in distraction. Time ceases to slip away because it is fully occupied by purpose. The Stoic lives completely, regardless of duration. In mastery, calmness is not practice, but presence. It becomes identity. The Stoic's being itself communicates steadiness. They no longer cultivate peace, they radiate it. Existence becomes instruction without words. Composure matures into authority, not of command, but of consistency. Others follow, not because instructed, but because reliability is sensed. Stoic stillness leads more effectively than volume. Leadership becomes quiet precision. Trust matures into unity with all. The Stoic senses the pulse of the world as their own. Actions echo cosmic rhythm. They no longer seek alignment. They are alignment. Life expresses the same intelligence that shapes stars and seasons. Inner mastery is permanence within impermanence. The Stoic stands in the river, yet remains the stone beneath it. All flows around them, but their essence is unmoved. They do not resist the current. They shape its path. This is peace at the level of law. At the end of discipline lies serenity without condition. The Stoic understands that power is not conquest, but composure. They have found in calmness the blueprint of command, in composure the architecture of strength, in trust the perfection of fate. Together, these form the unbreakable unity of mastery. The one who attains this dominion becomes indistinguishable from order itself. Their will and reality coincide. They move through the world as embodiment of proportion. Silence teaches endurance. Steadiness restores balance. In their presence, chaos remembers its shape. This is the Stoics' victory, to live beyond reaction, beyond fear, beyond resistance, to exist in alignment so complete that nothing external can disturb it. The self becomes law, the mind becomes temple, life itself becomes the act of virtue in motion. The circle closes, and within that stillness everything holds.